Hi, I'm Tim Masso, Director IW Magazine, and today we're going to be looking at a watch that perhaps better than any other reference embodies the great dichotomy in the Rolex brand identity. Obviously, the company from Geneva has a tremendous history from the mid-century of supplying no-nonsense, profession-specific utility-style watches, the GMT Master, the Submariner, the Milgauss. The watches that Rolex has produced that have become part of the canon of its model lines invariably have been of a very utilitarian nature and have made the transition to Rolex's modern role as a purveyor of luxury goods while retaining their essential DNA aesthetically, functionally. But no Submariner represents more of a path beyond into that world of indulgent luxury than the 2008 Rolex Submariner 116619LB that I hold here. Now, it was a significant watch for a couple of reasons, not just because of its outstanding identity and that strange duality about it, but in 2008, this watch marked the beginning of the era of the super case, or the six-digit reference, and I'm not counting the 168000 from the 80s, the modern six-digit references. It was the first sub featuring that larger case profile with its massive lugs, with its broad shoulders. It was the first of the sub-Cs featuring Rolex's Cerachrom ceramic with platinum fill. It was also the first of the non-anniversary Submariners to feature what's often described as the maxi dial, or larger loomed plots, a feature that debuted on the Yachtmaster in '92 and joined the Submariner line with the LV, sometimes known as the Kermit among collectors, back in 2003. This watch also combines the incredible coincidence of a gloss blue dial with a gloss ceramic bezel. This is a feature that has been phased out on the two-tone Submariner and is now found exclusively on this blue ceramic white gold reference. Also of note, as the first ever, and still to this day, only Rolex Submariner in white gold, it does embrace that luxury imagery, the reputation that, frankly, most people today associate with Rolex in the era of Rolex as a household name. But make no mistake, the watch still stays true to its roots. Now, of course, the very first 1953 Rolex Submariners were primitive in many ways. Riveted bracelets, hollow links, spindly stamped clasps. None of that's present here, but in a lot of ways, the good old days are now. The fully milled out clasp on the Rolex bracelet has the feel of a single ingot of white gold. Now, the nice thing about this particular reference is that white gold could easily stand in for steel. If you don't know what the watch is, or you're not wearing it and feeling the incredible 8+ ounces of it on the wrist, it does look like a conventional steel sports watch, and that's a kind of stealth feature that endears it to many collectors of Rolex. Also endearing it is the security of this clasp with its clamshell action when closed, and the utility of the Rolex Glide Lock incremental adjustment system. Now, there's approximately 20 millimeters of incremental adjustment in here in 2mm increments, so far more useful than the traditional Rolex flip-out link. This is an incremental system that can be used for micrometric sizing just as easily as it can be thrown over a wetsuit or a dry suit for dive duty. But again, the good old days are today, and you have that choice concerning how much or how little you want to adjust the clasp. Now, naturally, all of the links are solid, and the bracelet is incredibly heavy as a result. A generation ago, this is how platinum Rolex watches on bracelets felt. Today, you get the same effect simply because of the sheer amount of solid white gold. You'll also note the differentiating finish. It's finished in a gorgeous and deluxe combination of satin flanks, polished outer edges, and polished center. As you can see, all center links are completely solid right up to the solid end links. Now, the solid end links do extend the case a little bit. The bare measurement of the watch didn't change in 2008 with the so-called super case, but the way it wore certainly did. Still 40 millimeters like its 5-digit predecessor, the watch has grown in breadth, in scope. It's got broad shoulders, it's hefty, and it's more massive. Now, 40 millimeters technically, if you measured from approximately 4 o'clock to 10 o'clock, nevertheless, if you do measure this watch from lug to lug, you get a 48 millimeter measurement. Measure from the solid outermost outcropping of the solid end links, and now you have a 51 millimeter span that's much closer to the range of modern full-sized and oversized luxury dive watches. Now, of course, the nice feature about Rolex white gold is it is Rolex's own white gold. So not only do they create it in their own foundry, but because it's their own alloy, what's known within the industry as gray gold, it's homogeneous all the way through. Now, gray gold looks like white gold. The difference is that when you scratch it, you don't scratch through a rhodium plating because there is no such plating on this particular blend of white gold. It's still white underneath. Therefore, it holds its finish better, and it never has to be replated with rhodium. An upscale feature, not quite a Rolex exclusive, but definitely an advantage, and still putting Rolex in the minority of watch manufacturers that are using white gold. Now, of course, the Cerachrom bezel, rich blue gloss-like, almost has the appearance of enamel, lustrous and deep. It almost appears wet. All of the fills, indices, index at 12, as well as the numerals, are platinum poured within recesses in the bezel, and there is a sapphire-capped pearl, always deluxe details like that set Rolex apart at 12 o'clock. Now, the dial itself, as I mentioned earlier, does have a gloss base finish to it. The two-tone Rolex Submariner launched with the super case using the same dial that you see here, but reverted to the sunburst dial previously associated with the reference during its 5-digit days, leaving this as the only of the current Submariners that features the gloss blue dial. Now, of course, this does feature Rolex's own chroma lume, so when you do turn the light out, this one glows a potent teal blue, supposedly one of the last colors to be lost in terms of definition when you are diving. Now, the watch does feature the Cyclops Eye magnifier, as ever, atop the crystal, and when you add the Cyclops Eye magnifier, you do go from a 12mm thickness to just shy of 13, but it doesn't become an encumbrance on the use of tighter sleeves. Now, the watch does feature all of the functionality of the basic steel sub-C or 6-digit Submariner reference. You have the same 300-meter water resistance. You have the same caliber 3135 Rolex chronometer caliber. Underneath the case back, of course, on this particular model, solid white gold rather than solid steel. The 3135 still 31 jewels, bidirectional winding for a very smooth action that doesn't stutter or wobble on the wrist. It also features hacking seconds, very precise. You can set it precisely to the second. It features a quick set date so you can rapidly correct the watch should it run down. And with a 45 to 48 hour power reserve, ample autonomy such that the watch will simply replenish itself if you wear this as your everyday timepiece. Naturally, it features other refinements including a handmade Breguet over coil hairspring, a full dual-anchored balance bridge, and a free-sprung balance architecture. Those three features give you the ability to wear the watch in any position or leave it on your desk in any position with no excessive deviation in terms of timing. That's the advantage of the concentrically beating Breguet over coil. Plus, with the free-sprung balance and the full bridge, you get a greater capacity to attenuate shocks. So the watch, while thoroughly luxurious, and again, 228 grams of gold with all links put in the bracelet, nevertheless, it does have all of the inherent capability of a Rolex Submariner. So it's a deluxe dive watch, and at the same time, it's a very unique addition in the Rolex catalog. If you want a Rolex, the brand name, the quality, and all that goes with it, including resale value, a Submariner is a great choice, but if you want something different, Rolex usually isn't the go-to. However, with a rare reference like this, and you hardly ever see the 116-619LB, you can have the best of both worlds. Rolex build quality, brand recognition, and resale value with exceptionalism and rarity. It's the best of both worlds.